Support for Connecticut East this week comes from Dominion Energy's Millstone Power Station, producing 90% of Connecticut's clean energy, powering over 2 million homes and businesses. Millstone provides New England and Connecticut with round-the-clock, low-cost and carbon-free electricity. Learn more and explore career opportunities at dominionenergy.com. Lyman Allen Arts Museum. Award-winning New London artist Marvin Espy channels his 4-year response to the senseless killing of George Floyd with soul-searching versatility and dramatic expressions. Exhibition on view now through October 20th. More at lymanallen.org. SCAD, the Southeastern Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, is offering a $3,500 sign-on bonus for licensed clinicians. Go to licensedclinicians.org to learn more. That's licensedclinicians.org. And Connecticut Council on Problem Gambling, here to help individuals and families affected by gambling-related harm. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit our website at ccpg.org. He's a military veteran on a new mission to reconnect his fellow veterans, their families, and young people using the great outdoors. We talked to Davey Edwards, founder of Open Doors Outdoors, based here in Connecticut. Plus, we take a look at other stories making the headlines from around the region. This is Connecticut East This Week. Hello, I'm Brian Scott Smith. According to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, there's around 18 million veterans in the U.S., which represents around 7% of the country's adult population. All of these veterans have served their country, either here at home or on deployment around the world in conflict zones, helping to preserve freedom for all. But once they leave their particular service, it can be difficult for veterans to re-establish themselves back into society, and many need a helping hand. One such organization is based here in Connecticut, called Open Doors Outdoors, founded to help reconnect veterans, their families, and young people through healthy activity and healing using the great outdoors. I caught up with the nonprofit's founder and U.S. Marine veteran Davey Edwards and chairman of the board of the organization Sam Barrett, a U.S. Army veteran, to talk more about Open Doors Outdoors' mission. Davey and Sam, thanks for joining us on Connecticut East this week. Before we get into this, of course, we should let the listeners know that both of you are veterans, so we thank you both, obviously, for your service to the country. Talking today about the organisation Open Doors Outdoors. Davey, just give us a quick elevator pitch about what the organisation is about and who it serves.
Our mission is to take veterans, their families, and young people into the outdoors for reconnection, healthy activity, and healing. Do that through hiking, kayaking, snowshoeing. We have an amazing UTV program, which is hilarious side-by-side machines that we really focus on disabled veterans and children with autism. And we just started a new archery program called ODO Bow. And all of our programming is 100% free to the participants. So when people come on board, they don't have to worry about paying for meals. They don't have to worry about, paying for the activities. We just assume that everybody could use a little financial break, and we do a great job raising money, so we're able to cover everybody's cost.
Obviously, it's a lot more than that. I mean, this is about getting veterans to reconnect as well, isn't it? Talk to us a little bit about that.
If you look at our logo, there's 4 mountains with 3 lines on it, and the 3 lines represent the anticipated outcome, which is, in fact, reconnection, healthy activity, and healing. And the reason why you see 4 mountains is because we annually we expect and hope that each participant will do at least 4 activities or 4 adventures with us. So the adventures are mainly hiking. Hiking, the first hike starts off easy, and the last hike we try to end up in the White Mountains on Mount Washington. And the idea is that it has a couple ideas behind it. First idea is you start off easy just so you can get acclimated to climbing these mountains. The second reason is because it gives individuals something to look forward to. So if they were just going to do 1 hike and then they were going to get thrown back into the system, they would not have the hope of saying, oh, well, you know what, I have 3 more hikes with this organization and I get to reconnect with the people that I hiked with already, and I'm going to be challenged. And hopefully in between the hikes, they are actually inspired to maybe exercise more than they would have, to do some hiking on their own. The reason why initially we chose hiking was because you can do it literally with bare minimum of equipment. You don't have to have anything. You can literally get to a trailhead with a pair of running shoes or sneakers or whatever you have, and you can literally challenge yourself on a mountain, big or small. What's interesting with hiking is the thing that the individuals from the military miss is the camaraderie. They miss the shared stress, whether it's through training, whether it's through combat, whether it's through whatever their role in the military is. There's a certain amount of, stress that they go through that unites the individuals. And that's something that we miss. I mean, we miss structure, to be honest with you. We miss a regiment. I don't necessarily think we miss someone telling us what to do, but we do miss the structure and the success that comes from a team environment where you're completing something as a group. And it's very hard to imitate that. So we were able to do that using hiking. That first mile that you're climbing, your body goes through a certain amount of stress. You're breathing heavy, you get a headache, your legs hurt, your hands hurt, everything hurts. And what usually happens is, mainly with the male veteran hikers, they start off very, very robust when they first start hiking. They're talking trash. They're talking about all the mountains they've climbed and all the events they've done. And after about 15 minutes, it gets completely quiet because everyone is breathing as heavy as they can, but they don't want anyone to hear it. And I know what's going on. When I'm doing the hikes, I already know, all right, 15 minutes, this guy right here is going to quiet down. It's going to be very humbling. And after a little while, usually one person breaks the ice and is like, listen, guys, I got to stop. I'm dying. And then that's it. Everybody else is like, you hear me too? I'm dying. It's killing me. And instantly, that's the stressor that connects them. So now there's some unity in the group. Now together, they're going to climb this mountain and they're going to summit. Now that's their success. Now this may be the only success that some of these individuals had in months or years. They may come from very dark environments where just to get them out of the house was an accomplishment by our organization. But now they have success. Now they climb the mountain. So now they're feeling really good. We climb down the mountain together and it's a different atmosphere. Two reasons: because the stress of the incline is gone. Now you can kind of, as you're going down the mountain, it's a little easier to breathe. You have a success behind you. You've connected with these other individuals. You're feeling different. And the leaders have done nothing. Like literally, I've done nothing except lead this group and make sure they're safe. And that's our mantra. Our mantra is the mountains do the work. So when people ask us, they're like, well, are you going to have counseling? Are you going to have therapists? The answer is no. The VA is there. The VA does a great job. There's the vet centers all over the place. They do a great job. We don't need to reinvent what they're doing. We try to encourage people to go there. But what we do is we just share with people, hey, the mountains do the work. And it's a perfect scenario for us. We come down the mountain, we get in our 10-passenger van, and then we stop somewhere when we buy everybody dinner or a meal, whatever time of day it is. And now it's like Jesus and the 12 disciples, like he was always doing that. He was always feeding his guys because there's something special about breaking bread and sitting and being still and taking in good food. And that's what we do. We sit down and we eat, and that's when they connect. That's when they start talking about, well, where did you serve? How did you serve? And I'm doing nothing. The leaders are doing nothing. We're just sitting back and we're watching this beautiful thing transpire. We get in the van, we drive home, and usually everyone falls asleep. And then the sleep part usually tells me that whatever they were feeling on the way up, they're more relaxed, they feel safe, they feel successful, and they can rest. And it's amazing. I get teary when I think about it because some of the people we take out have seen some very difficult things. And for them to trust, after one day, for them to trust our organization and me driving, I'm usually driving, to be at a point where they can rest, it's success for me as the founder.
Let's bring Sam in at this point. As we say, chairman of the board, Sam, very highfalutin title there, but we're not going to be talking about that. Talk to us about how you got involved with Open Doors Outdoors.
So it was about 2 years ago, and I was in South Glastonbury at a coffee shop called Soji. And I went in and got my coffee, and I came out, and in the parking lot, I saw this pickup truck with the Open Doors Outdoors logo and the American flag. And I sat in my car for a second and I'm like, I know that's definitely a military nonprofit. And I was kind of like thinking, I was like, maybe I should go and see who's involved with that. And, I was hemming and hawing. And after a couple of minutes, I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to go find out who this person is. And so I went back inside and I saw Davey and I'm like, that's the dude. I'm like, I guarantee it. So I just introduced myself. I explained that I had founded a nonprofit back in Seattle after I'd gotten out of the Army. And I just said, hey, if there's anything I can ever do to help, I'm like, I'd be happy to. I gave Davey my contact information and we stayed in touch. And then there was volunteer opportunities. And one of the things that I really enjoy is kind of helping to build things and mold things. The thing about my job that I enjoy from a strategy point of view. And I started leaning in with different ideas about like, oh, here are the things that we could do. And the conversation with Davey and Matt and Tracy and the rest of the board just kind of progressed from there. And really like the emphasis, I suppose, for wanting to get involved. And this kind of leans back into what Davey was saying when it comes to the things that you find in the military and the things that you miss about it, which is a sense of purpose, direction, and community. I think those were kind of some of the things that I was kind of looking for at the time because I just moved to Connecticut 3 years ago. We talked previously, before the podcast started, that I moved back from the UK after living there for 10 years. And so I'm in this environment where I don't know anybody in Connecticut. I don't really have any friends. I don't have a network. I don't have that sense of community. And so I walked back into that coffee shop for kind of selfish reasons. I wanted to see, it's like, can I maybe see if I can find a sense of community? And in doing so and having that conversation with Davey, it's like I did. And, I've also found a new sense of purpose and direction with the work that we all do together. And it's something that I'm always proud about in terms of like the work and the effort that we put into things, even though I don't really do a whole lot, compared to Davey, who's the machine that really runs this organization.
Sam, talk to us a little bit as well about the reactions that you see and the conversations that you hear, and even perhaps, comments that you and Davey and the rest of the team get from the people who go on these events.
I think like the overwhelming sentiment or feeling that I get from people who take part in our events is this sense of appreciation that someone's actually doing something. It's almost like people are a bit surprised that people would go to lengths to these efforts to put on something for someone else. I think that's great because it's probably for some folks, they haven't had an organization or people that have decided to simply act on behalf of others for the sake of others, right? And so that's the overwhelming feeling I get when I talk to people at our events.
Davey, I believe that the organization you founded back in 2018, so it's 6 years old now. Looking back when you started it to now, could you ever have imagined it would have garnered so much success?
No. I knew I was sharing things that I was passionate about, things that got me unstuck, things that blessed my life. But I think the thing that blesses me the most above just our mission are the individuals that serve the organization, like Sam, Matt, Tracy, Bill, Jesse, Nivy, and Mike. We have a group of individuals that are very successful outside on their own, and they're very busy, and they've already lived a very full life. And yet, instead of just taking kind of the low road and the easy road, they've committed to blessing the lives of the veterans, the young people, all the family members. And I think that's the part that humbles me the most is I barely graduated from high school, didn't finish college. My mom died the morning I was supposed to leave for boot camp for Parris Island. It's been a rough go in addition to many other things. And I think that, you have a guy like Sam sitting here who has 3 little kids and a wife and a puppy and, all the different things. And when you see a guy like that who's successful in this field that wants to be part of something that you started, I don't know that you can be ready for that, or you can think like, oh, that's the thing that's gonna mean the most to me. You don't think along those lines.
Let's talk about the events because we've got little time, unfortunately, on this occasion. We will speak to you guys again. Talk to us about a couple of the events, if you would, because I know that there's plenty of them still to come. There's one actually coming up, I believe, in early September called Remembering Mike, and then there's a couple of others. So I don't know which one. David, do you want to kick us off with the Remembering Mike?
Yeah, Remembering Mike. We have an amazing volunteer. His name is John Zavanek, and we met him we were on the front page of the Hartford Courant. His stepfather works for an organization that tries to find organizations for veterans, and he reached out to us. He did some hikes with us. Now he volunteers for us. His best friend, Mike Clark, just an amazing guy. He was from Glastonbury, Connecticut, and he was John's best friend, and he has served all over the world. And if I was to kind of simplify what he did, he was a combat medic, and I know it was much more than that on many levels. But anyways, he was in for, I believe, over 20 years. He was in a reserve unit and was down in Florida. And he was with 9 individuals and himself, I believe, and they were in a tent, and that tent got struck by lightning, and he was killed. He was the only one that was killed. And, it's ironic. He served in combat environments and, lost his life in a tent with lightning. But he left an amazing legacy. So we are having our second annual Remembering Mike run here in South Glastonbury, Connecticut, Hops on the Hill. And it's just you kind of come and do a 5K, and there's a draft beer from the brewery. Hops on the Hill is a local brewery, and there's a draft beer in the ticket, and people just kind of come and either remember Mike or just pay tribute to someone that served that maybe they didn't know. But it's last year, I think we had well over 200 individuals for our first run, which is amazing.
I'm looking at another event as well, Veteran Appreciation Day at the Big E, coming up on the 15th of September. Tell us a little bit about that, because obviously I'm guessing that's an opportunity for people to come up, have a chat, find out a little bit more about what you're all about.
Yeah, that one's awesome because that's at the Big E. It's the largest fair tour, I think, in New England, and it's actually free for veterans on that day, but you get into the park for free, and there's all kinds of veteran organizations, including us there. Actually, last year we had our UTV on the lawn of the Connecticut State Building, so it was pretty exciting just to be there and share just about our organization, and it was a great event. And I totally recommend that one because, again, you can get into the Big E and you don't have to pay the cover.
The date actually is the 15th of September. Another one that we want to mention as well is the Gobbler Farm Run. Again, Hops on the Hill, who are obviously a big supporter of you. 30th of November, a little bit later in the year. Sam, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I can talk about it. So the Gobbler Farm Run, this is the second annual event that we've had. This is a really fun one. So it's really right on the heels right on the doorstep of Thanksgiving. And so it's a fundraiser. We're trying to raise funds for different services and programs that we run. So last year we had about 300 people. It includes, what is it, Davey? There's a 5 mile and a 10 mile run option.
Yeah, 5K, 5 mile. We did have a ghost 10 miler, which we're thinking about doing again. But what's nice about that is we actually have childcare and a child run. And again, a beer is included in the registration for that.
Thought you were free of your family from Thanksgiving. No, they can come and join you, obviously, on Gobbler Run as well.
And we had 300 people last year, and everybody had an absolute blast. People showed up in just like outrageous Thanksgiving themed and I don't know, just wacky outfits. So it's a really fun activity for the entire community. And I think it's the amount of people and the amount of fun that people have is kind of representative of how community of Glastonbury has really embraced Open Doors Outdoors. And it's a huge shout out to Hops on the Hill to continue to support us in this way too.
Another thing, of course, is you do have equipment, but it needs replacing every now and again. And I know, David, that you posted a video fairly recently on social media because you need to get a new ODO, Open Doors Outdoors, in case people were wondering what the acronym stands for, truck. So tell us about that and how people can donate towards it.
Yeah, and we have, you can go right through right through our website. We have donate now button, but we have a Ford F-150. It has over 170,000 miles on it, but it's only a 2019. So it's really a testament of how many times we've gone back and forth to the White Mountains, taking people hiking. And it's time to replace it. And we're always looking for, ways just to offset some of the costs. I always let people know we are getting the truck. It's going to happen. It's not one of those things where if you make a donation and we don't raise enough, well, we're just going to keep the money. That we are getting a truck. Any donations are earmarked to the truck, go right to the truck. Even if you're late, it helps with a payment afterwards. It's just our vehicles. I mean, we have the 10-passenger van, we have the F-150, we have 2 UTVs, we have an ATV, we have a trailer, and we're very mechanically driven in addition to all the physical things that we do. And just our insurance is like $15,000 a year. It's amazing. And we know it's a good deal, but we also know it's a lot of money for a small organization. But we do well. We do well, and people are very generous and very supportive. But yeah, so anything we ask for as far as dollars go, before you even give it to us, it's already earmarked for something that we have to do to keep the business running.
An important thing I think that we should be mentioning here as well, apart from the awesome work that you, the team, do at Open Doors Outdoors for the veterans, it is for all veterans, whether they are able or not so abled as well. So if you're disabled in some way, anybody can take part because you're fully kitted up for all of it, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. The and even for hiking, we will adjust. We'll pivot at any moment to make something work that's good for the individual. What the individual thinks is good for them, we'll make sure that we believe them. But what we do is we really open up the UTV program as the doorway to Open Doors. So if there's an individual that has some kind of challenge, we say, listen, just meet us for a UTV ride, get to know us. It's super fun. Like Sam said, our entire town of South Glastonbury has embraced our program, where we have 10 separate landowners that give us permission to use their property. And that's unheard of in Connecticut, especially with motorized vehicles. It's just not normal. And yet here we are, and when we do take people out, we do share the pictures with the landowners saying, hey, just, you blessed a veteran. Hey, you blessed a family. Hey, you blessed a child. And they love sharing in that capacity.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Davey Edwards, founder and executive director of Open Doors Outdoors, Sam Barrett, chairman of the board of the same organization. Congratulations for the incredible work that you do, but more importantly, the lives that you touch and that you make a difference in every day. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Brian, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
And you can find more more details about Open Doors Outdoors and their various events and to donate to their cause at their website opendoorsOutdoors.org. Connecticut East This Week is made possible by Dominion Energy's Millstone Power Station, an important part of Connecticut's energy future, generating 90% of the state's clean energy, powering more than 2 million homes and businesses. Millstone provides New England and Connecticut with round-the-clock, low-cost and carbon-free electricity. Learn more about Millstone and explore career opportunities at dominionenergy.com. Be part of the clean energy movement at Dominion Energy's Millstone Power Station. The Lyman Allen Arts Museum, located just off I-95 exit 83, has enjoyed celebrating the arts with visitors for almost a century. Throughout the year, the museum presents a wide range of changing exhibitions, in addition to their permanent galleries that celebrate Connecticut art and history and the Tiffany family's ties to the area. Outside, there's sculpture trailers surrounded by 12 rolling acres of gardens and lawns. More at lymanallen.org. And
SCAD, the Southeastern Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, is looking for licensed clinicians and is offering the top benefits packages in the state. Go to licensedclinicians.org to learn more. That's licensedclinicians.org.
The Connecticut Council on Problem Gambling is a nonprofit organization which, through advocacy, prevention, and education, is here to support individuals and families who are impacted by problem gambling. Our helpline, 1-888-789-7777, is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We also have live chat and tech support through our website, www.ccpg.org.
time now for a look at other stories making the headlines this week. It's all change at the top for the Connecticut Port Authority as the chairman and executive director leave the quasi-public agency. The announcements came at a regular board member meeting at the agency's headquarters in Old Saybrook recently. Ulysses Hammond, the interim director since 2022, will retire on Friday, August 23rd, and David Kouros, the chairman since 2019, is stepping down to start a new job with the state. Kouros said his time as chairman has been quite a ride.
It has been an incredibly challenging yet rewarding opportunity to work towards the objectives of the authority, but I think my time has come to step into a slightly reduced role. I have been in conversations with Lloyd Scarver, and he's demonstrated his willingness to step into the chair position, and I have agreed to stay on the board for at least through the end of the year and perhaps further to serve as a resource.
Paul White-Scarver is a retired Navy commander of the New London submarine base and currently serves as the executive director of the non-profit economic development organization sector. During the meeting, Kouros also addressed a concern that their controversial state peer project was costing more money as they looked to transfer $3.7 million, explaining it was an old transaction dating back to 2020.
We did not physically move the funds from the railroad escrow account to the construction escrow account. I don't know why it wasn't done at the time. We weren't fully staffed. We didn't have the finance department that we have now. It was always appropriately accounted for within all of our bookkeeping, but the funds were not physically moved.
The state peer project in the city of New London has hit the headlines on many occasions because of its escalating costs, from an original $93 million to a final figure of just over $310 million. The 119K Commission in Connecticut, set up to address disconnected youth in the state, gave an update on their work to the media recently. The commission was formed after the Dalio Education Foundation released a report stating Connecticut had 119,000 young people that were at risk and disconnected and falling through cracks in education and beyond. Joe DeLong is the executive director of the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, whose organization formed the commission, and said they've reached a consensus on how many youth they need to help to start with.
60,000 is a bigger swing, would be a greater accomplishment than any other state has had. And it is a great starting point for the work of this commission, with the understanding that it's not enough. It is the mission in the goal of where we need to get in 10 years to create the foundation to be able to continue this work, to one day say we don't have at-risk and disconnected youth. We have a path forward for everybody who would fall into those categories.
Joshua Brown is from Domus, a non-profit that helps youth aged 12 to 16 in the Stanford area of the state, and he was also one of the commission's co-chairs, and said they had talked to 150 youth so far about their issues.
Across all populations, one thing is clear and common, and we all heard it. They're bored. Boredom. Community has limited and scarce access to recreation. They have cited a wide range of wishes, ranging from questions on how to access nature walks, going to the library on the weekend, or common comments that are limited opportunities, either because the availability of cost, they don't have the money, or to engage into some type of sport or weekend activity because they just don't know about it.
Brown said they still have another 50 youth to talk to, but other complaints range from failings in the education system and curriculum to socio-economic challenges that impacted children in certain families and areas in the state. The Commission has one more meeting before they release their final report to the state in October. That meeting will be on August 27th at City Hall in the City of New London. Details can be found at 119kcommission.org. A professor at Eastern Connecticut State University has been awarded a competitive grant from the Center for Institutional Courage. That's given to just 11 universities across the country to research institutional injustices in cases of abuse on college campuses. Sarah Nightingale is an assistant professor of social work at Eastern and says the research is about identifying what is termed as institutional betrayal and how to combat it.
So when we are harmed within the context of an institution like a college or a faith-based institution or the military, a place where we think we should be safe and we expect that we can be safe, there are additional psychological health, mental health effects that people endure.
Nightingale says the research will also be twinned with a course she teaches at Eastern called Sexual Violence in Higher Education.
Students will be involved with an intervention project. This is a practice class as well. They're going to be involved in some organizing at Eastern around a prevention initiative. And they will also put together at the end of the semester, and they'll present their recommendations how Eastern and other campuses in our area can improve response and prevention.
Nightingale is collaborating on the research with a professor from Providence College in Rhode Island, and they will be assisted by an advisory board of 5 survivors of sexual abuse from schools across the nation. The research aims to provide schools with resources to better respond to cases of sexual assault on their campuses and, importantly, how they treat survivors. And Hammonasset Beach State Park in Connecticut, the state's largest and most visited park, has been awarded $2.7 million in federal funding to help restore salt marshes and other fragile infrastructure there. U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal made the announcement in conjunction with the state's Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. Blumenthal said protecting open spaces like Hammonasset are essential.
The losses in salt marsh and shoreline call on us to invest and restore this treasure before it is eroded further, and to replace the culverts, to do the restoration. It takes investment. This $2.7 million is a good step, a start, not the finish. We need much more here at Hammonasset and at other treasures throughout Connecticut on the shoreline.
In the last 20 years alone, the beach has lost over 300 feet of shoreline and over 13 acres of salt marsh due to climate change. The project will also provide paid work and educational opportunities for local school students. Jaden Langston is a 16-year-old high school student from Bridgeport and part of Audubon, Connecticut's Wildlife Guards Youth Employment Program.
When I heard about Audubon, I thought that, okay, this will be like a great place, just go outside, go out in the outdoors, help clean up trash any way I can. And the fact that I got to learn about some birds and like what types of animals are on the beaches was actually pretty cool. So I really enjoyed it a lot.
The money will be used over the next 3 years by Audubon, Connecticut to design and build a nature-based resiliency project consisting of a living shoreline to help protect and claim back some of the lost salt marshes. That's all from us for this edition. Do send us your questions and story ideas to the show via our website at connecticut-east.com or Facebook or Twitter at Connecticut East and on Instagram at Connecticut East This Week. And you can listen to the show again on our social platforms, on demand, and by asking your smart speaker to play Connecticut East This Week podcast. And please like, follow, and share on your social media too. I'm Brian Scott Smith. Thank you for listening.